People of Earth, we come in peace.
Welcome to this neighborhood, neighbor.
I am the Martian ambassador.
Des Moines and all of central Iowa, welcome to Mac's World Live. Mac's World is your world. Every day we talk about the issues and topics that matter most to you. And as always, it's your voice we want to hear in Mac's World. So join the conversation by calling 515-244-0077. And now, here's the host of Mac's World Live, J. Michael McCoy.
All right, let's get rocking in the 4 o'clock hour. It's 7 minutes after the hour, first day of February, Lord's Year 2016. Tonight's the Iowa caucuses. If you don't know how to caucus, let me give you a simple explanation. And I put something on my Facebook, I don't know, 4 or 5 days ago, a piece that CBS did on how to caucus, and it was really good, and it was quick, and it was easy, and it was colorful, and my childlike ADH, just really loved it.
Yeah.
Basically, you're going to go into your caucus place. They're going to shut the doors at 7. You can't come in late. Okay, you can't come in late. Somebody's going to get up for each candidate and have like a 3-minute speech, so that in itself is going to take up the first 45 minutes, or however long it is. And then you will be asked to vote on you'll just write it on a piece of paper, and then you'll go stand in those corners, go stand in those groups. So here's the Trump group, here's the Cruz group, here's the Rubio group, here's the Carson group, here's the Jeb group, whoever, your candidate is. And then who's ever got the most will be considered the temporary winner. Then the rest of them will say, well, what?
Are you talking Republican or Democrat?
Republican. Did I get something wrong?
You're going in groups and you're separating people in groups?
That's Democrats.
Do I have that wrong?
Yeah, the last caucus I attended, I listened to everybody's speech, and I wrote down a name and walked out, and it was done in less than an hour.
Yeah, same with me in the Republican.
Okay. Yeah, I am describing Democrats. Right.
Yeah.
In the Democrats, then you have to, and eventually you join the groups together, and there's one winner. This is how Brad Zahn lost to David Young on the congressional race. You remember, Chris, when we talked to Brad? Brad was the winner of the Iowa caucus for that job or that position. But all of a sudden, the other people got together, and David was the most popular second place vote, so he took first, and he won the caucus. And then he was able to go into the primary election as the candidate. So, all right, we're asking you today who you're going to caucus for tonight, and if you want comment on it, we'll be glad to give you comment on it. If you don't, we're more than happy to just let you do it. And, my buddy Tim Overland is on the phone. Well, we know who you are for. You got your pictures all over Facebook for the last 237 years with you and Mr. Cruz. But I want to hear from you. You're a good brother, and I want to hear from why Mr. Cruz.
I'm pretty shy, Mac.
I know you are.
He's been, in my mind, he's been the most consistent conservative for as long as I've been kind of paying attention to him and following him. He's been in my top 2 or 3 from the get-go. I really liked Bobby Jindal. I liked some of the other guys in there too. There are some that I just won't vote for. I don't care where we're at, but Senator Cruz has been solid on the issues that we say are important to us. I helped write the state platform. He's rock solid on all of those things that are important to us. He's willing to stand up to our governor and his lobbyist son and all of those guys when it comes to what's actually better for us than continued crony capitalism. He's just been solid. I've been fortunate enough to meet his father. Had a couple of good conversations with him. So you kind of get the sense of where he's coming from. and his wife is just an amazing lady. I've had more opportunities to talk to her than probably Ted or Raphael, but just great people, and I'm excited. You know, I've been pretty involved for a long time, and this is the first time I've actually worked, you know, either part of a campaign or ancillary with the Super PAC, and have put in a lot of miles, and I'm just really excited. And I really think that, well, I hope some folks wake up with this flirtation they've had with the P.T. Barnum in the race.
Well, you know, I did.
Come to their senses.
You know, I did.
I hope so.
And I just, you know, it's fun. And Tim, thanks for calling, man. I appreciate. Hey, are you your captain tonight?
No, I'm actually the recorder. I'm not with the campaign, so I can't be a precinct captain. But
yeah.
I will. But I am part of, in my precinct, I will be the person that helps tabulate the numbers and sends those in on the new app.
Oh, you better know that in his caucus, Cruz will win, you know, with Tim calculating it.
Well, let's just hope I can speak eloquently enough if I'm called to. I don't know if they have a precinct person there. I'm assuming they do. If not, I will speak. And I think everybody that knows me knows there will be honest tabulation.
Yes, of course. And we'll, if weather permits, we'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow in the studio with your guest, Rebecca Kelsing. Kiesling, sorry. Oh, wait. When I interviewed her, I did that wrong, too. I said the wrong name.
Yeah.
All right, Tim, thank you very much. Appreciate you listening. Appreciate you calling, Frank.
Oh, I was going to ask Tim a quick question. Dr. Brown was on air all day today I shouldn't say all day, but I was listening to him in the lobby, and he was asking who you were supporting, and if that candidate doesn't win, will you inevitably support Trump? Max says he will. I will. I don't know. I think Chris said he's not. I don't know about Bob.
I said I wouldn't, but I don't. I really don't know. And let me add to that. And I think this goes back to something we talked about off air, Mac. My concern about Trump, if he gets the nomination, my concern about Trump is not moral or ethical. Okay, that's not my concern.
Well, okay.
Right? I mean, that's not. I mean,
you don't care whether he's a born-again Christian or not.
That's what I mean.
All right.
But what concerns me is, because my hope is that we can get a real conservative Republican small government person in the White House, that we can shrink the size of government, that we can shrink our debt, that we can be a sovereign nation, that we can have borders, that we can protect our citizens, that we can defend ourselves against our enemies, that we would have a real conservative leader in the White House. And my concern is that Trump may not truly be a conservative. He may be running as a Republican, but I'm not sure he's truly conservative. In fact, Mac, you said it yourself that when he decided that he was going to run, he could have picked either party.
Yeah.
And could have run in a lot of ways on either one of these platforms.
But the thing I would say in contrast to what you're saying is it's self-survival. Trump is a businessman at number one. Entrepreneur, whatever you want to call him, it's in his interest to keep making money to have a viable country. And if our country goes down the tubes and in flames, where's he make his money?
I agree with you, but I made a note here a little bit ago, and that is as we consider, Max said he would like to have a businessman. He would like to have a businessman as a president, kind of run this country.
I just want to see if it can happen.
Just see if it could happen.
Yeah.
And here's an interesting thing about, in my opinion, the way I see the difference between the United States and a business. A business is a top-down thing. It's really not. It's not an employee run. It's not a we the people kind of thing. A business is the owners of the company, whether they're stockholders or not. The owners of the company tell the workers what they're going to do, when they're going to do what they're going to do. They hire them, they fire them. They're in total and absolute control. And so even a good businessman who knows how to run a large company, when he gets into the White House, when he gets into the presidency, is he going to run America like that? Because that destroys what I was taught is the fabric of what makes the United States great.
Well,
we are not a top-down government. We are a government of the people rather than the president, right? The Washington, D.C. tells everybody what to do, where to go.
A liberal like Bradshaw would immediately say, when asked that question, the difference between a business and the government would be a standing army. You know, a home doesn't have a standing army. You know, that'd be his wise guy response.
Right, but that's scary though, isn't it? To think that because our government should not be run like a business, not in that kind of sense, not in that kind of top-down heavy kind of way.
Let me put this into perspective. I don't know if you know this, but about $400 billion a year is spent on interest alone on the national debt. That buys a whole lot of school lunch programs. That's a lot of police on the street. That's a lot of programs that we're wasting just on interest alone on the student debt. How about this idea that you only spend as much as you take in? You only spend the revenue you take on. But most of these programs are on autopilot. When they say they're going to cut spending, there's no actual cuts in spending ever.
Right.
They're going to cut projected spending.
Right.
So if we project we're going to spend 7% in the near future, well, we might curb that back to 6.75%. There's no actual ever cut of spending. When a government program isn't viable, you just keep throwing more money at it. If you've got a program at your home that's not viable, what do? You stop funding it.
Right.
So that's what the American people are saying when they want to have our government more run like a home. It's only spend what you can afford. Now, if you can't afford something, you got to figure out a couple new ways to get revenue. Go get another job, cut spending, et cetera, et cetera. But the government doesn't do any of those things. They just keep throwing more money and more money and more money at failed programs. We have multiple programs in this country that overlap. We have 60 and 70 programs to help retrain people, help feed people, et cetera. We need to get those all under one roof.
Well, that all makes perfectly good sense, Frank. 515-2... It'll never happen. 515-244-0077. That's the number to call. Who are you caucusing for? Not looking for a debate. Just want to hear from you. If you would, please. Thanks for listening.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens, rock on! This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1.
4:21, 21 minutes after 4 on the first day of February in the Lord's year 2016. It's finally here. Caucus, Iowa Day. Had a great time this weekend. Took my grandkids down to Capitol Square. Thank you, Jesse Bunny. And showed them the back scene, the back of the house, behind the scenes, I guess, of all the national media that is here.
The sausage making?
The sausage making. There you go, Frank. And then I went over to Embassy Suites, and I have a friend of mine who's involved with Fox News from radio many years ago, and we kind of hung out. And I got media credentials, which was kind of cool. I have a thing at home now that says Mac McCoy, Fox News.
There you go. That's awesome.
Which, of course, I could never pull off, but because everybody look at me and say, "No, we know you. You're on 99.3. You don't, you're not Fox." But it was really humbling, cool. What's the word I want? Energetic. Because if I get to meet Reba McEntire or Garth Brooks or Mercy Me here in a couple weeks, I get to meet them. I'm like a kid in a candy store. I mean, I'm just really excited because I'm a fan. People at Fox News, CNN, whoever they are, Channel 13, whoever they are, we're peers. And Megyn Kelly doesn't do anything for me other than the fact that of conversation. Hamill, all these guys, Larry King, he's not there anymore. But so to just watch the sausage being made behind the scenes was really cool. I almost called you, Frank, and was going to come and pick you up and bring you over.
Cool, you should have.
It was what was really cool was they did Megyn's show from the Capitol last night. Yeah. And, we forget how beautiful our Capitol is. Chris, you've been inside of our Capitol?
To my shame, I have not.
It is so beautiful on the inside. It has been so well maintained. And I'll give you an example. You go over to the Nebraska Capitol in Lincoln. Pretty cool on the outside. Big, tall buildings. I think it's the tallest building in Nebraska. I think it's taller than the Woodman building in Omaha. Maybe I'm wrong on that.
You're thinking Lincoln?
Lincoln.
Yeah.
And it's got the sower on it, sowing the seeds, because we're a farming state. I say we because that's where I used to be from. But on the inside, it's okay. The Iowa Capitol is spectacular, and that's where Fox was. They were in the Embassy Suites, and then they were over there. And
cool.
that was really neat. And so I appreciate the opportunity to just kind of get to run behind the scenes a little bit. 515-244-0077. We're going to go to our phones and find out who you're caucusing for.
Now, did you ever get to meet Reba? You've mentioned Reba twice.
Yeah, I got to.
I figured you probably had.
I had the. Well, I won't go any farther. I got to stay at her house one weekend.
Oh.
I was on the Country Music Association, CMA, and I was on the board. And so the board all stayed at her ranch one weekend while we were planning the next convention. And that was, I don't know, that was just one of those things, I probably stayed really calm and reserved and cool, while I was there because, I'm just... So what if I'm at Reba's
when
house? But when I got home, man, I was just, I did Reba's house!
When I was driving limousine for a certain stint in my life, I was told that there was a certain little limousine driver that Reba always requested. I think his name was Joey. I think he had a little stutter or something. Joey may be not the right name, but she always asked for him.
I don't know. All right, let's go to our Service Legends text line at 809-0993. You had some text for us, Bob?
Here is a text.
We're going to Tony on the phones.
I served 8 years in the military to help defend people's freedoms. One of those freedoms being the right to vote. It drives me nuts when people neglect that freedom. Come on, people, get out there and do your part for America. Even if it's against what I believe in, at least exercise your rights.
Yeah, and I do want to throw in something on the weather. There's a warm air mass that's underneath this front that's been moving our way for about a week. They've been saying, 4 foot of snow in northern Minnesota, 3 foot of snow in the Twin Cities, 2 foot of snow in Sioux Falls, and like a foot here in northwest Iowa. That warm bubble is pushing that cold storm away from Des Moines. And so now they're saying that we won't get anything till after they were saying we won't get anything till after the caucuses tonight, which everybody was glad with. Now we don't even know if we're going to get this massive amount of snow tomorrow or the next day. So Tom Coates and I, along with Craig Robinson, will be here tomorrow to kind of give you an overview on the Iowa caucuses.
Even if it snows?
Yeah, even if it snows. Yeah. Well, I mean, if I can make it in, at this point, I don't think it's going to be so bad that we can't come in. And Bob, you should come in for that because you've been enough part of this caucus talk that you should probably enjoy that. Frank will be producing. Frank?
Well, there was a certain email from a lady from Urbandale that said if Urbandale schools were closed, they would not be in tomorrow.
Yeah, well, we're not doing that show tomorrow.
Okay.
That's canceled.
All right.
All right, let's go to the phones. This gentleman's been hanging on like 10 minutes. Tony, how are you? Who are you caucusing for?
Good, Mac. Thank you very much for taking my call. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm sorry it took me so long. I just kept yapping.
That's okay. I've been listening to you now since you guys have been on here. That's a really good station. I appreciate it very much. I'm a Democrat, and my wife is a Democrat, so I'm going to caucus. We haven't decided who we're going to vote for yet, so I'm going to caucus for Hillary, and I think my wife is going to caucus for Bernie Sanders tonight.
So that's a good way to do it. If you got 2 candidates, then each of you take one, and it'd be kind of fun in the House as the primary season goes along to see which one of your candidates is the nominee.
Yeah, we haven't really decided quite yet. We've been Democrats for quite a long time, and we like the activities and the enthusiasm that both campaigns have had, and so we're just going to kind of get a feel of how the emotions are tonight in the Democratic caucuses, and maybe make a decision down the road.
Well, I appreciate you guys at least caucusing, man. Like that, like our text said a little bit ago. I guess this was a different text. A lot of people have died for our right to go do this tonight.
That's exactly right. That's very true.
Yeah.
Tony, a lot of people are saying that they think Bernie may clean her clock. What's your opinion?
I don't think so. I kind of think Hillary has got a tremendous organization. We've been getting emails from her organization just steady for a long time. And Bernie has got a lot of enthusiasm, but I think Bernie's support on the Democratic side is a lot similar to Donald Trump's support on the Republican side. And I just, they may win, but I think in the long haul, I think organization is really key in a political campaign. And I just think she's been at this for such a long time, and I think finally it's going to be her time probably. I think she'll win very, very narrowly probably in this tonight, and we'll see how she does in New Hampshire. I think that's a big key. I think New Hampshire is going to be a big killer for her.
Tony, if I can just ask you a question, are you at all concerned that she might be indicted?
No, not particularly. I guess I haven't. I saw her testify for 11 hours. I watched C-SPAN for almost that whole time, and I really think that they've thrown everything. I think the Congress and her political opponents have thrown everything but the kitchen sink at her for 25 years, and she has been just a tough politician. And I know politics is a dirty, slimy business, but she's held her own in that.
Well, I honor your right to vote for whoever you want as long as you're voting for, Tony. So God bless you and your wife, and thanks for going out to caucus tonight.
Thank you. God bless you guys, too.
You bet. Bye-bye. Man, I'd like to have a long conversation with Tony. And you know why? I don't want to argue with him. I just want to understand. I honestly have a hard time, and this is my bad. This is really my bad, Chris. I'm kind of ignorant. I'm not ignorant by saying this, but by saying this, I'm kind of ignorant. Is that the same thing? Maybe it is.
Sure, let's find out.
I just can't put my arms around someone who can vote, can be a Democrat. and at the same time follow Jesus?
Well, I don't see how that's a difficult choice at all. I think that a lot of really good evangelicals, even a lot of good Christians, can be Democrats. And here's why I think that's possible. Because I think the Democratic Party stands on a lot of platforms that that Christians get excited about. You know, they're for unity. They're not against the foreign people that are coming into the United States. They want to bring them in. They want to protect them. They're for anybody that wants to be a part of America. They're for them. You know, they're for taking care of the less fortunate, those who are in need. They understand the difficult challenges that our public school systems face. A lot of these things, and they see government as the solution. That's the only place that I think I tend to differ with a Democrat. It isn't so much their drive for the Democratic Party. I don't think that the government is the solution to those problems. But if you think that the government can solve a lot of those problems, then I can see how you can be a Christian and be a Democrat. I don't think that's a far stretch at all. In fact, I don't even think it would be all that weird to be a Christian and be voting for Bernie Sanders. That's not my choice, but I could see it. I heard an interesting little tidbit on the talking shows last night, and talk shows, and that was the idea that whether or not Hillary will be indicted, and they say it's closer and closer and closer to looking like she will. And then it depends on what the State Department does with that recommendations of the FBI. But somebody brought up this interesting point that I don't think I'd ever heard before. I think Monica Crowley might have been the person that brought this up. This depends on what Hillary may have on Obama.
Oh.
What she may have.
That's just a little too much tinfoil hat for me.
Well, it's the idea of Fast and Furious. It's the idea of Benghazi, that she would know his roles in it and could somehow, because there's emails supposedly on her server from Obama, so Obama can't plead ignorance that he didn't know this was a secured server. And so there's kind of a little thing going on that maybe Hillary may have some goods on him too, and he may choose not to sic his Justice Department to indict her. Frank, what I heard, Monica Crowley.
You take your Tonka toys out to the sandbox and play with them way too much. That's ridiculous. And the other thing is Obama doesn't care. Let's say you're right. Obama's got nothing to lose. He's got nothing to lose. So if he did say, don't go into Benghazi, there's no election he's going to lose. Hillary would lose the presidency. I don't know.
Well, Monica was saying that she feels that the White House and Hillary are in negotiations. That's the term she used, that they're in negotiations, what they're going to do about this.
All right, I got a text here, or I got an email here from Lindsay. She says, I can't decide between Rubio and Cruz. Also like Carson. I'm 26, first time caucusing. I'm leaning Cruz because he has most tradition. My main issue is pro-life. You're not going to go wrong on Cruz when it comes to pro-life. You're not going to go wrong with Rubio or Ben Carson, Lindsay. So you're good. You're square. It's kind of like I've been offered 3 jobs. Which one do I take? Doesn't matter. All 3 of them are the same, and you're going to be okay. My heart wants to go for Ben Carson. My head says that's a wasted vote, and I hate saying that. I hate saying that out loud. I just hate saying that out loud, but it's true.
And that's true. And it's based on the percentages that the polls are showing.
Yeah, Ben is by far the best person. I believe in my heart the best person that is running for office. But I don't think that he could hold a candle in the main election against Bernie or Hillary or anybody. They ought to take him and make him Secretary of Health, something, Surgeon General. All right, we're coming back live here on The Truth. Thanks for listening.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Homs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed. Fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money-back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money-back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
All right, 4:38. 22 minutes for the top. I love this new Service Legends text line. I got to tell you, it just fires me up. And that number is 515-809-0993. I don't know where you keep your numbers. Obviously, I have an old-fashioned Rolodex at home. And I also have my phone, obviously, and most of them are kept in my phone. And if you've got one, just put Mac's World or Mac, or I don't care what you put, but get both numbers in there for me. The studio line, which is 515-244-0077. And then the other one is the Service Legends Truth text line at 809-0993. I'll give those to you again in a little bit. I'll tell you what, I'll give it to you right before we take our next break. And so if you're driving down the road and you don't have a pencil and paper or something, know that at about 4:48, no, that's not right. 4:48, I will give you those numbers again so you can write them down. But read the one that I laugh at so hard. I love these. I love this text.
Okay, this came in 3 minutes ago, and this, what I'm about to say is in quotes. A Democrat can't be a Christian. And then it goes on to say...
No, that's a question mark behind that, though. Or
no, it's not. It's just a statement.
Oh.
A Democrat can't be a Christian. Sorry, Mac. I love you, but that is the most ignorant thing I've ever heard you say.
I love that. Well...
And there's another one.
Okay.
It says, remember you said you feel it might be a wasted vote? Okay. It's not a wasted vote if enough people vote. Don't be afraid to go with your heart, gut, and swim against the current.
Yeah. Thank you. And that's if I get a nudge from the Holy Spirit tonight, and I don't know what that always feels like. I know when it happens, but I can't explain it to somebody what it feels like. It's not a voice. It's this clarity. That's the good word. It's a moment of clarity that I know that I didn't come up with it. I'll go with Ben. Okay, Frank, you and I saw Ben win.
May 16th, May 15th at a meet and greet.
You remember the date?
Yes, because I'm still trying to run that picture down that Ben and I was talking, and you stuck your head up in the middle of us and put an arm on each of our shoulders, and they snapped a picture, and I'm still trying to run that picture down.
Oh, don't you know, I've had that. You'll never get that picture. I made sure of that.
Do you have the picture?
You're not ever going to get it. No, I'm fooling you. I don't know anything about it. Talk to Justin. Didn't I tell you to give him a call?
The manager was in here that day with Ben Jr.
Yeah.
He gave me his email address.
If you have the picture, I need you to call in at 515-244-0077 and make sure that we can get Frank this picture of him and Ben Carson, because I know a listener has it right now.
Somebody has
they
it.
searched it on the Google, and they found it.
And if that doesn't work, you can Photoshop something like that.
That's
you know
right.
what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and then Photoshop the text and send it via text to the Service Legends Truth text line at 809-0993.
Well, let me just say, as opposed to what Michael Damastis said the other day, and he can have his opinion, but I think Ben is the most humble man running for president, man or woman running for president in the race. Now, whether he can win or not, that's a different story. But when it comes to humility, Ben is a very humble man.
By the way, Pastor Damastis was interviewed on Fox.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, he was, and I saw it.
Good. Lindsay, who I was reading her text a little bit ago, she said, also, I wanted to comment, if Trump wins the nomination, I'll vote for him in the general election, even if he is just a Democrat saying he's a conservative. I don't think he is worse than Hillary or Sanders. Good for you. All right, let's go to the phones where Russ is standing by. Russ, you're live in Max World. Who are you caucusing for, Russ?
Well, let me tell you this first. I really love Carson and Cruz and Rubio, but to me, Rubio's got too many skeletons in his closet. Nobody's perfect, but I'm thinking if I was going to caucus, and I am, I'm gonna do it for Cruz, even though he's not perfect. Definitely, he's pro-life, and he's going to kick butt when it comes to butting heads with these idiots in Washington, D.C. I say idiots because we've got two parties there, in my opinion, the evil party and the stupid party. And I just don't like the establishment Republicans or the establishment Democrats. And if it comes to if it's between Trump or Sanders or Hillary, I'm going to vote for Trump. There's no way that I can vote for a party that votes to kill babies. And they may be. I know a lot of good Christians that say they're Democrats, and they may be good Christians, but I don't understand that. I just cannot stomach that idea that Hillary says she's got this issue and she's always got this care for children, but her philosophy is kill them until she decides otherwise.
Yeah.
I mean,
so Russ, who are you caucusing for? I missed that.
Cruz.
Up in Woodward, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, buddy. Miss you around the radio station. Hope to see you soon. 515-244-0077 or the Truth Text talk line from Service Legends is 809-0993. Whoever said that about that you can't be Christian and Democrat, I know that's true. I know that's true. That's the truth. You can be anything you want politically and still follow Jesus Christ.
Right. Not only that, you can be a Democrat and vote for a Republican.
Right. But if that person could just text me back, I would appreciate it. Last convention, at the Democratic National Convention, They took 3 votes to take God out of their platform.
Right.
The first time, it passed. The second time, it passed. The third time, it failed. And I'll put my tinfoil hat on a minute. I don't think it failed. I think they made somebody somewhere upstairs said, whoa, we can't be a godless party. We will lose so many people. So that's one of the reasons I say that. Plus, there are some social issues that if you vote Democratic, you're voting for... no, see, I'm going to get in trouble here. Would I be correct if I said if you vote Democratic, you vote and you approve abortion?
No, I
that's
think
not a correct statement. Is
no,
it?
I think it's not because again, it's a difficult issue because it's a worldview issue, and I think that again, I don't want to make it so simple that it's just about how you view the government. But remember, when it comes to abortion, abortion is a choice. Abortion is a choice that someone makes, and it's legal in the United States right now for someone to make that choice.
Because of the Democrats.
Right, I understand that, but the Democratic Party wants to give people the freedom in certain areas to make those decisions. They also, I think, in an effort, I'm assuming here, in an effort to be more populist, more generally populist, they don't want to be seen as religious or being a part of any particular faith. You were interviewed by a news crew out of Sweden, and they think it's odd that here in the United States that we would even use or consider God in the way that we do politics. I think there are many Christians in America that are Democrats that their faith is their own. It is their deal. They see the government being able to be run a different way. I think it's very possible, and I think that you can have a clean conscience in being Democrat. I wasn't raised in that environment. You got to think about that too. People who have grown up being Democrats for a really long time. Abraham Lincoln was a Democrat. That's an interesting one. Think about that. Abraham Lincoln, someone that we value, was a Democrat.
No, he wasn't.
Yes, he was.
He was elected as a Republican president.
There was no such thing. Right. It was the Democratic Republic. Right. His party was what became the Democratic Party. The Whig Party, which he ran against, is what became the Republican Party.
All right. I told you I'd give you those numbers. Studio line 515-244-0077. Text line 515-809-0993. When we come back, we'll play.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Rock and Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rock and Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I 10 minutes for the top of the hour. Top of the hour, Salem Radio Network News, and then Hank, the Bible Answer Man, 1-888-ASK-HANK. The text line is blowing up. They're disagreeing with you, Chris, on whether Abraham Lincoln was a Republican or not. But we're not going to talk about that now. Or do you need to? Go ahead if you need to.
I was just going to insert that
I've got a guy on the line, Matt, a listener, who's more important than you to talk.
Matt is more important to me. No, let's go to Matt. Let's go to Matt.
All right, Matt, you're live in Mac's World. How you doing?
Pretty good. How you doing?
Good. Are you who you gonna caucus for tonight?
You know, I contemplated going there. I've never caucused before. I'm 42. I never voted until when Obama ran. I did not want Obama in, so that's when I started voting. But I just have a big problem. I really like Carson, and everyone I talk to says he doesn't have a chance. They're not going to vote for him, and I just think that that's wrong.
Yeah, it is wrong.
That's why he's not going to get in if he doesn't get in, because everybody has this view.
Yeah.
A lot of people have this view.
Yeah, and I said it myself. So Matt, I'm guilty as sin. I mean, I love Carson. He's been in here. His son's been in here. We've been to different places and had an opportunity to have extended conversations. Matt, you're exactly right. You speak the truth. So you go. Yep. You go and you do that, all right?
I will do that.
All right, man. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
All right, Frank, go ahead.
I have a question.
Well, then I'm going to let Chris explain his position.
Okay.
So all I was getting at is, at the time when Abraham Lincoln ran, the name of the party may have sounded a lot like it was Republican, right? Because of the name of the party. But the history, the roots, the foundations, the ideas of the party is what gave birth to what we have now as the Democratic Party. The party that he ran against was what was called at the time the Whig Party. That party was the one that was all for states' rights, not about a strong federal government that controlled all the individual states, but they were for a limited government and individual states' rights. That was called the Whig Party at the time. That was the party he ran against. That party birthed into what we now call the Republican Party. So the people running on the Republican ticket right now would have been on a different in a different party at that time. And I know a lot of people differ with me, but it's just a matter of history.
It is fact. All right. Bob, you're snickering over there. What are you reading another Service Legend is Truth text at 809-0993?
Well, people are still disagreeing with you.
That's okay. That's all right. That's all right.
Well, thanks to Google, we can even be more confused.
Right.
Well, and the nice thing is, though, here, whatever the party was called, okay, let's take into it. Let's take into it. My point was that Abraham Lincoln, who was a guy that we liked, his ideals were for big government. He thought that the government could take care of things. And that's all I'm saying is that good people believe that the government is the solution. Christians can be for government being the solution, and that's completely fine. That's not my position. But Frank, what were you going to say?
Well, I just have a question for you guys, for anybody here. If Bernie wins tonight, and he goes in and cleans Hillary's clock in New Hampshire, do you think the Clinton campaign will go into panic mode?
Well, they're going to change their tactics. If you think that's panic mode, I'm okay with your wording. But Hillary is going to be a force to be reckoned with if she loses the Iowa caucuses twice.
She is. And I think maybe it was a previous caller that said this, or maybe it was just my thoughts. But for the Democrats, I think Bernie Sanders is pretty extreme, even for on the Democratic Party, right? We can agree with that. He's the outsider. He's pretty radical. I think if you're a Democrat, you may like some of the ideas that Bernie Sanders has, but some of the stuff that they have in common between Hillary and Bernie, you could go with Hillary. I could see that because she's the main line. She's the establishment person.
Who will give us more free stuff? Hillary or Bernie?
Well, Bernie's not going to get what he says he's going to give us. If Bernie Sanders can get elected in the next 4 years, do the things he's saying that he's going to do, wow, we have underestimated the power of the presidency of the United States.
Absolutely.
But maybe we have. Maybe I'm foolish. Maybe I think that we actually still have checks and balances and a government that is there to control itself, there to regulate itself, there to shrink itself, there to make itself smaller, not the great superpower that it wants to be over its citizens, but instead protect its citizens. We may have already lost that.
Well,
we may be a long time gone.
I would tell you that we have begun to lose those checks and balances.
I think so.
The president is making law with a phone and a pen. The Supreme Court is whacked out. And here's something to remember. Over the course of the next 4 years, there's a good chance 50% of the Supreme Court is going to retire. 50%. If we've got a Democrat, a liberal, a progressive, a low-information voter, sorry, Tony, out there, we will forevermore have a liberal-leaning Supreme Court. Now, here's what's sad about that. If you're a Supreme Court justice, you shouldn't be a Democrat or a Republican or an independent or anything else. You ought to uphold the Constitution. But see, we've allowed that to go away too. We've allowed the Supreme Court to ignore what the Constitution says and to make law based on how I feel. And that's what's been happening the last 8 years, even with John Roberts. I mean, John Roberts has been such a disappointment. Obamacare should never. It was unconstitutional. It was a tax. They argued over and over and over it wasn't a tax. And then they go before the Supreme Court and says, oh, yeah, it's a tax. And John Roberts said, oh, okay, well, then it's legal. But otherwise, it's not. So it's just such a shame.
So go ahead.
Yeah, let me see. Chris, this is for you. But it says the history guy is exactly right. If Lincoln were alive today, he would know much. He would be much closely aligned with the DNC platform than the RNC.
Well, that says it off the internet. Who said that?
Just
don't
a
know.
text. Okay.
Yeah.
A very smart and educated person
Frank.
on the text.
Quickly, we've had some people come in here and say, if Trump's the nominee, I can't vote for him. If Jeb Bush is the nominee, I can't vote for him. But what Max said is very important. There's going to be at least 3 appointees for the Supreme Court the next 4 years, the next term, at least 3. Do you want Jeb appointees or do you want Hillary and Bernie appointees if it came down to that? I would have to side in with Jeb over that.
All right, let's end this thing in prayer, can we? If you're driving down the road, for heaven's sakes, don't shut your eyes, but just focus on...
Well, the Bible says to watch and pray, so...
Okay, good. Papa, we come before you just hours before folks in Iowa are going to go and going to say who we think would be best to lead this nation. And I'm not going to ask you. I want to ask you for your will to be done. I don't want my candidate or anybody else's candidate to be favored by you. I don't think they are favored by you. But if there is somebody out there that you want as the next leader, you have the power and you have the sovereignty to make that happen. And I pray that your children, me, and everybody listening will hear that nudge, will feel that nudge. Otherwise, God, we just thank you for this unbelievable opportunity to live in this country where we can worship you so freely. And we pray that no matter who's in the White House, God, that's one thing you'll make sure doesn't change, is that we can still publicly on this public airwaves, these government airwaves, that I can still say your name and I can honestly beseech people in your name and ask you to pray for them and ask you to heal them and ask you to heal their marriages and their families. It's in your Son Jesus' name we pray, and all good men, women, Republicans, Democrats, and independents said, amen.
Amen.
Tomorrow, the results of the caucuses here live in Mac's World. We'll see you then.